What's up, everybody? My name is Aaron, and welcome to the Mad Maker Studio, and welcome back to 80 Days, the game where I read things super fast. We are on day 39. I don't think we've made any substantial progress, but we have covered a lot of distance. Let's see what we got in the marketplace, if there's anything worth taking. We already have tobacco, so I don't think we need to buy any more. A delicate high-quality snuff for those who like that sort of thing, and a full tea set of the finest bone china, decorated with precise hand-painted patterns, a block of henna, vanilla, I don't know where that is, playing cards. Sure, let's exchange the dominoes for the playing cards. Oh, we got the Penny Dreadful. I'm gonna keep that. Alright, I'm gonna back out of here. Where can we go from here? Colombo, is that it? Ugh. Sure, it departs tomorrow. Alright, let's spend the night. Madras was a city within a city. Inside the walls and fortifications of Fort St. George was White Town, where British Memsahibs and factors traded and went to church and traveled from place to place in mechanical palanquins. Outside the walls was the glorified shanty. I found the colonial officers to be particularly dim. Outside the walls was the glorified shanty of Blacktown, where Indian servants and laborers and clerks made their homes. I ventured into Blacktown, where I attracted a few glances but no real attention. No doubt there were many reasons for a lone foreigner to wander the cramped streets and back alleys. But after a few minutes, I realized I was being stalked. I turned to face my shadow, to find myself face to face with a nun. "Would you like a blessing, good sir?" An ornate gold cross hung heavily from her neck. "Yes, sister." I smiled. Her smile sprouted razors and no further warning. She brought her heavy gold cross down on my head with a crack. Whoops! My vision sputtered and sparkled into blackness. When I awoke, I was in a nunnery. My nun assailant offered me a cool cloth. "I am Sister Panamalar, and this is the convent of the Sisters of Didicus." Nuns are not supposed to go around kidnapping people," I declared indignantly. "The ways of God are mysterious to men," the nun replied, notably not apologizing. "Besides, we need your help," she added. "My order does not believe, as the Pope does, that automatons are abominations. We believe the machines, too, are capable of grace." "You believe automatons have no soul? You defy the Pope?" "Fascinating," I replied sarcastically. All this theology while my head still span. I went briefly cross-eyed and fell over. The sister popped me back up. "Please listen to me," she said. "The Didesian sisters are dedicated to search for a machine which has a soul, and now we require for your help in our search." "Why me?" I groaned. "Why'd choose to hit me over the head of all people?" "I just had a feeling about you." "A divine sort of feeling." "A feeling!" I shouted. "You accused me for a feeling? Or you concussed me for a feeling? Feelings are powerful things." Sister Panamalar escorted me to the entrance of the nunnery. "If you find an automaton whose shard is engraved with the soul on your travels, send a telegram to us. We have our own receiving station here. We will reward you materially, if that is your wish, but we must have such a shard." "Sister, this is very far-fetched," I insisted. "Automatons with souls? Who ever heard of such a thing?" "I have faith," the nun said calmly. Then she let me go. I did not know what to make of Sister Panamalar and her order of artificer nuns then, and I do not know now. I admit I was glad to know we would be leaving Madras and its walls and fortifications and secrets. Let's explore. Oh, Calcutta is all the way up there. I spent a few hours in exploration, discovering the options for how we might continue our journey. Colombo. No, it departs tomorrow. The air gear set should yield results. No charge before 7 p.m. Embark. Let's go. We We boarded a fast airship run by a British company that promised to reach Colombo within 2 hours. What is your wish, master? Passepartout? Playing cards? A game of whist, monsieur? A worthwhile pursuit. Are we on track, do you think? We are in the body of our journey now. How are our funds? We are quite comfortable, I must say. You have been most cautious so far. Very good. I feel like him as my employer should be the one to map all the locations that we need to hit instead of just trusting me to just travel all willy-nilly. We're already halfway through our 80-day limit. I don't know if we're gonna make it. The airship was not as fast as advertised, of course, but not to any considerable degree, and they are more than made up for it with some excellent tea, and my master was untroubled, and my demands for compensation. And they more than made up for it with some excellent tea. Relations with Fog have strengthened. Tea and scones. Missed a bit of dialogue there. The magnetic compass could earn us well here. We will have to explore Colombo to find onward journey. Fantastic. Well, let's try the market. We got some apples of interest, official, earnest, and soldier types. The Panama hat, warm climate gear, Darjeeling tea. Ooh, that looks fun. Traveled across any deserts yet, so I'm gonna sell that. I'm just gonna say goodbye to our chess set. Don't care about it anymore. Magnetic compass. Sure. Don't care about it anymore. This looks fun and takes up a lot of space, so let's buy that. And let's get the Darjeeling tea and the Panama hat. And back out of there. And we cannot explore. We wasted that. We decided to go to the market instead. We spent the night in a charming suite in the Grand Oriental Hotel opposite the Victoria Arcade. The clattering of the electric trams ran late into the night, mixing with the lowering of the oxen, and I had to bury my head under the duck-down pillow to sleep. I'm beginning to detest the rest of the world, and I long for the quiet of Savile Row. Ooh. The harbor at Colombo, capital city of the British Ceylon, was so busy with trading ships that the water was barely visible, and the sky was crisscrossed with glinting metal chains tethering airships to the dock. A young Sinhalese man with an ill-fitting jacket looked over the scene. Clearly, here is a hub worth our finding. However, the more I looked, the more I noticed that several of the airships seemed worse for wear, their envelopes roughly patched, their ropes blackened by mold and slowly unraveling. But there was no other way on. It seemed boats had been abandoned in favor of the skies. Yes, let's go Singapore. Embark. We're gonna lose 15 health. But that's okay. We boarded a sleek tea clipper with a bright red envelope and roaring twin engines. Is your ship fast? Will we be comfortable aboard? Is your ship fast? I asked the captain, a lean, dark-eyed Chinese man in the last flush of youth. I go to join my wife in Singapore, the captain confessed. You can be assured I will try to make good time. So saying, he flung the ship up into the air. Greetings, Captain. Hello there, my good Passepartout. I'm sure you know all about Singapore. Singapore suffers for its location, too close to everywhere. Is there a route from Singapore to Brisbane? Maybe, but the quickest way to Brisbane from here is through Batavia. Port Moresby? I'm sorry, I have to run. See, I don't know what any of these locations mean. If I were more well-versed in geography, I think I would have a better time navigating these conversations. I found myself standing beside the cheerful young captain. Are you newly married? Does your wife also sail the skies? Ha! Hardly. She has just opened a Chinese bank in Singapore, though she has holdings all over Southeast Asia. She could buy me and my ship 100 times over, in fact, he added with an easy laugh. And you do not mind? I find that I do not, he said. Don't women usually have to bear similar circumstances, though they have as much pride as we do? I thought much on Captain Go's attitude and situation, but came to a few conclusions that night aboard the airship. I could not wish for superior valet. There were rumblings of discontent aboard the ship, centered upon the figure of First Mate Renuga, a dark-skinned, towering Ceylonese woman. I inquired subtly into her grudge over lunch. I did not want to get involved. No, we're gonna insert ourselves into people's business now. This is our last voyage, she replied darkly. The captain's selling the ship and joining his wife's business. But he seems so well suited to be captain. He seems to be happily married. What will you do then? Her shoulder slumped. Me and the crew are stuck. This ship has been our home. We stared at our unappetizing stew as the crew grumbled. Why don't you buy the ship, I suggested. First Mate Renuga's expression turned even blacker. Oh, I tried, but the price is too high, even if we all go in together. How much? I demanded gallantly. 27,000 pounds, she replied crisply. That's how profitable selling tea is, it seems. She glared at me. Do you want to help? I politely declined because I do not have 27,000 pounds. You see our situation. Well, she grimaced into her stew. Just wait and see. I wonder if it was possible to have 27,000 pounds by now. Greetings, First Mate. Yes, what do you want? Singapore. I'm told Singapore suffers for its location, too close to everywhere. Did you know the tea clipper from Colombo connects to Singapore with the boat route in Batavia? Sure did. Anton. Antananarivo. No idea, but they say the Malaxi Queen is an artificer. Machu Picchu. Is it possible to travel from Singapore to Machu Picchu? You ask a lot of questions, Monsieur. Air sickness pills. I can recommend these pills, First Mate. They are most soothing, most generous. Batavia? Do tell me more about Batavia. I have heard that Dutch control of Batavia is slipping. Is it possible to travel from Batavia to Port Moresby? I don't like all these questions. We've talked for too long. I agree. Goodbye. The first sign of trouble was when the lights began to flicker. The gas lamps sputtered out just before the secondary engine cut out, leaving the airship in darkness and silence. I groped my way to the bridge to investigate the matter. Raised voices echoed from behind the oak-paneled door, speaking in English. I stopped to listen. It was clear we had been boarded, so I returned to Monsieur Fogg. I'm going to stop to listen, and gasped at what I heard. Ninhinsa, I heard Captain Go's voice say pleadingly. How can you do this? I couldn't hear the reply, and so pressed my ear against the door, pushed the door open a small crack, and peered in. First Mate Renuga was holding a pistol to Captain Go's head, while the crew looked on in shamefaced and determined mutiny. There were tears on the First Mate's face as she said, You did this, Captain. You abandoned us first. I kept listening, as Go protested, but Renuga cut him off. To one of the crew she continued, Go and fetch the passengers. I stepped to one side of the door, hoping to stay hidden in the dark, and succeeded, but of course my master did not and was soon dragged past me onto the bridge. Oh no. I stepped out to join him. No one remarked at my sudden appearance. Don't do this, Go breathed. We will all be hanged if you harm our British guest. This ship is my home, First Mate Renuga breathed as the crew stamped its feet and shouted their agreement. I cannot let her go even if her captain can. Something seemed to break into Captain Go's expression. He leapt upon his first mate with sudden startling ferocity, and they began to grapple for the pistol. I tried to stop Captain Go. I tried to stop. First Mate Renuga. First Mate. The pistol jerked and the bullet punched a hole through the outer hull above us. I heard a shrill whistle of air before we were knocked to the floor by the sound of an almighty explosion. I looked up and half the top deck was sheared away and swinging free, and the entire envelope had ignited into a glowing, writhing ball of fire. Oh, great. Wind whipped past us. We rolled and tumbled in the air. We were falling uncontrollably. And then we hit the water. And I slipped into glorious, terror-free unconsciousness. Uh-oh. Did a lot. Oh no, we're at 30 health. I awoke and I had not drowned, which was more than I expected. My head was upon Monsieur Fogg's lap. The emergency protocols have activated, and we have been sealed into the bridge, he informed me in lieu of a greeting. I catalogued my injuries from a prone position, feeling quite knocked about, but relatively well considering. I had nearly been shot this whole accursed journey of ours. You cracked your skull, my master declared. This is not the first time you have awoken. Every time you sit up, I explain matters, and then you swoon once more. Are you unharmed, monsieur? You have not asked that before, my master smiled. But are you? I am somewhat injured, my master said serenely, and then coughed an enormous amount of thick, oozing warm blood onto my chest. Gross. I tried to sit up, be professional. For Monsieur Fogg to slump heavily against me, his brow felt clammy and fevered. We have a much larger problem than our injuries, Passepartout. His voice was uncharacteristically raspy. I think your injuries will signify, monsieur. What is that? I asked, fearful of the answer. In response, Monsieur Fogg tipped my head up a little. I saw the heavy glass windows of the bridge. Instead of the pale blue sky and clouds, I saw only dark water, pitted by air bubbles rushing away. We are sinking, Monsieur Fogg continued, regaining some of his composure, and Captain Go informs you only have a day's worth of air at most. So then, we will die here. I saw Monsieur Fogg almost smile in the murky darkness. It seems a distinct possibility. We sat together in the dark for an hour or more without saying another word. I heard the captain and first mate working together. I huddled closer to Monsieur Fogg in silence. I found myself telling Monsieur Fogg of my mother. Memories unsealed by fear and bone-chilling cold of the ocean, which promised little mercy, even my master seemed warm and inviting in comparison. I confess I did not account for this possibility, he said into the dark. Not all risks can be calculated, I said thoughtfully. I drew in my breath. And then I let it go. There was nothing further to be said. The important thing is only to calculate the average risk, my master murmured. The average transcends the particular risks, and it is constant. It is what some call the law of averages, but its true nature is the theory of central limit. Constancy is the soul of whist, Passepartout. Another long silence, but a softer one. I felt the pain in my head pound at my temples, and then recede like waves on a shore. My master coughed more blood, and we all shivered as the last candle blew out. Someone wept, but I did not. Why did you take the wager, monsieur? Are you content with your life? And why did you take the wager, monsieur? I asked. I do not think I expected him to answer. I thought I knew, he said faintly, but now I am not certain. And much later, after the hull began to shriek and as the air grew thin, I think I heard my master say, perhaps given our circumstances, you should call me Phileas, before I fell into an uneasy, delirious sleep. Relations with Fogg have strengthened slightly. Oh no. And now we're getting way down the health. We got a long way to go. A series of dull shudders went through the remains of the airship, and Captain Go staggered to his feet. It has been an honor serving with you, he said, his voice admirably steady. Nhinsa, will you forgive me? First Mate Renuga stood up, her eyes glittering. Only if you will forgive me in turn, Captain. I pulled myself to my feet. I sat next to Monsieur Fogg, who had tried and failed to stagger up. He was clutching his ribs and breathing hard. The ship jerked, but instead of cracking open like an oyster shell, it began to rise in the water. Our faces were frozen in shock. Faster and faster we rose, schools of fish and debris flashing darkly beyond the window, faster and faster until we broke the surface. And the sun blinded us with its sweet yellow light, casting shadows away with its brilliance. I could think of nothing but... Am I delirious, monsieur? My hands threw themselves over my eyes to shield the glare. No, my master said coolly. You are rescued. Look. I followed his indication and looked up. Indeed, the sky hung a colossal airship. Thick steel cables were attached to our vessel, and we were slowly winched out of the water. A bulkhead door swung open on that ship, and a woman in a welder's mask and an armored suit stood, limbed in light. Hello down there, she called loudly, as Captain Go gasped. Have any of you seen my husband? Good to know. A game of canasta with you. How enjoyable. Good to know that brushing your hair and playing cards with you improves your health. Madame Go, the banker, proved to be an excellent rescuer. She retrieved our bags, provided us with vast quantities of stew, and had thought to bring a team of doctors. Captain Go trailed around behind her, looking, if possible, even more love-struck than before. I looked in on first mate Renuga, who was recovering nicely in one of the hastily set up medical bays. The captain's not going to sell the ship, she told me excitedly, and all I needed to do was try and shoot him. Monsieur Fogg, with bandaged ribs and a pair of impressive black eyes, was on his feet, much against the doctor's orders. Please stay in bed, monsieur, I said despairingly, knowing all too well the determined look in his eye. Passepartout, he said, and then he trailed off most uncharacteristically. Yes, monsieur? Thank you, he said briskly, and then opened up his ledger. Now leave me in peace till we reach Singapore. From here on, I am going to ensure I consider all of the possibilities. Relations with Fogg have strengthened slightly. Several of our possessions should be quite valuable here. Let's do that. I don't care about the hand mirror or the wax or the scented candle, but I may have room for the scented candle or not. All right, we're done here. Can we explore? No, we gotta spend the night. Oh my gosh, we're on day 48. Singapore was a British colonial port, peopled largely by Chinese, Malays, and Indians, and fueled by rubber exports and opium wealth pouring into new banks. It seemed a dangerous spot to linger. Yeah, we're super injured, especially at night, so I made what visa arrangements were required of us and then returned to Monsieur Fogg, but I found him in some consternation. Is there a problem, monsieur? We have no way onwards, he remarked as though upon the weather. Passepartout, you must seek out some transport. Indeed, monsieur. There are plenty of people at hand to talk to. I inquired about vessels headed for the Spanish Philippines, the Australian town of Brisbane, the Dutch city of Batavia. And one of the Malay soldiers pointed me in the direction of a little steam yacht. She goes to Manila, he said, and then cocked his head. Are you a Spaniard? At least you perceive I am not English, I said heavily, rather weary of this constant misidentification. The sailor shrugged. Heard there's cholera in Manila. If you are not a Spaniard and have no business there, maybe you should avoid it. Good to know. He shrugged again. Then again, you rich people do whatever you want, so why am I bothering? Thank you for the warning, I said politely, not wanting to insist on my lack of wealth to a man wearing rough clothes upon a body bent of labor. The sailor jerked a nod and went back to his companions, leaving me to contemplate his advice upon the Singaporean dock. Relations with Fogg has strengthened somewhat. Yeah, we don't want to go to Manila for cholera. Let's explore. I walked the streets a while, hunting for ways in which we might travel onwards. Did that do nothing for us? Do we have to go to Manila? Where is Manila in the scope of this world? Oh, we're a lot closer to Australia than I thought we were. But I don't want to get cholera. Cholera in Manila. I don't want to go there anymore. Let's regain our health a little bit more. We are less than 50. We made ourselves comfortable for the night, and I attended to Monsieur Fogg. I went out to explore a little, where I saw a cheerful French gentleman in a dramatic discussion with a housewife, from which I learned it can sometimes be prudent not to get in the way. I came away with a torn shirt. Our relationship has deteriorated slightly. We're on day 50, oh man. With what remained of the day, I afforded my master every service. I helped the kitchen staff to clean. I went out to explore a little. I really need to get his health back up as much as I can in our relationship. So I afforded master every service, ensuring he had fresh tea. I guess we gotta go to Manila. I really don't want to. There's cholera there. Just don't drink the water. We took passage on a little steam yacht with a cargo hold full of Chinese silk parasols, with which the captain assured me we would fetch an exorbitant price in Manila. Are the ladies there so shy of the sun? Surely Chinese goods are not rare there, I asked in Spanish. These pretty money makers are only passing through Manila. Captain Amparo, a dark-eyed Filipina of middle years, was unable to keep the glee from her voice. I will sell them to a trader for shipment to Acapulco, where the Mexican ladies will pay all their pin money for a month for just one gaudy parasol. You seem rather contemptuous of them, I observed with a laugh. I am, she agreed easily. I have little use for ladies who make little use of themselves. I regarded her sensible attire and short hair. Sometimes impracticality is its own reward. I admire you, practicality. Don't diss other women. Reward. Captain Amparo laughed companionably. It is a skill I have never possessed or desired to. I slept well that night aboard the steam yacht, secure in the knowledge that it was being steered by the captain's steady hands. Gotta get your health back up, sir. Well-tended hair is a great comfort. We had some ill winds in the morning, but Captain Amparo kept the crew calm and focused, shouting orders at them in a language I did not know. Tagalog, perhaps, as it was widely spoken in the Philippines. We were merely bobbed about a little. I felt quite shaken about storm toss. We merely bobbed about a little until the weather settled, but most injury was some seawater clogging my shoes. We will not be delayed, Captain Amparo assured me, perhaps mistaking the cause of my obvious melancholy. My master will be pleased. Oh no, it is my shoes I mourn. I pointed at the ruined articles. She looked confounded. My God, you are unspeakably fastidious. Do you really care so much for appearances? A gentleman is always presentable. Fashion is a serious matter, Captain. A gentleman is always presentable. I sniffed. I do not care for fashion's sake. Oh good, our health is improving significantly. Captain Amparo had taken to regarding me as though I were the oddest creature to ever take passage aboard her vessel, and she still looked thunderstruck when we reached our destination. Good luck in Manila, she said, tossing one of the parasols into my outstretched hand. They will hardly know what to make of you. Yeah, it is more exhausting than I anticipated. It's in the market. We got the Chinese silk parasol, Acapulco, American timetable, English poetry, a cold compress. All right, we'll leave the neck cushion. Or we can sell the American timetable map. Would love to make it over to North America where things look way more familiar to me. Explore. Oh, thank goodness. So many options. I'm gonna go to Japan. It's gonna take forever, but I'm gonna go. We arrived at the Spanish-governed capital of Manila at a most inopportune time. The city had recently suffered the depredations of a major typhoon, and you have cholera there. No! And the efforts at rebuilding had been stalled by an outbreak of the dreaded cholera morbus. It originated with sailors' images of San Roque, a saint invoked against pestilence, decorated almost every building and vehicle, but to little effect. Infected establishments were burned daily by the sanitary board, with our hotel one of the casualties. We relocated to the... probably shouldn't go to the telephone exchange. Taking the medical horse-pulled tram. Concerned with the possibility of infection, I assured Monsieur Fogg. Stayed warm, drank only boiled water, ate only from the kitchens, which had avoided all traces. Drank only boiled water, as recommended by Jon Snow's article in the Medical Times and Gazette, going to the lengths of preventing him from eating any uncooked foods for fear of contamination. From our window, I could see carts piled high, with the dead being taken to the mountain to be burned rather than interred in a churchyard, which put me in a morbid frame of mind. I went to the local telegraph office and sent a message. Sure. To dear Maman, to a dear friend. To a dear friend in Paris. My ex-lover. If I am to be perfectly honest, we parted in unfortunate circumstances, and I felt the need to apologize for my behavior. I was something of a libertine in my youth, I must admit. I made my way back to Monsieur Fog under the fragrant coconut oil lamps, eager to depart from this city riven by sickness and death. Let's plan. Where are we gonna go? Wanna go to Yokohama? Negotiate! Let's splurge a little. Alright. Hotel. As night fell, I attended to Monsieur Fogg, providing him with a haircut. Relations with Fogg have strengthened slightly. Okay, our health is in a much better place. Embark. Oh, we're on a big old ship again. All right, well, we're on day 52. I feel like we're gonna be in for another long ship ride, so I'm going to go ahead and end this episode of 80 Days here. Thank you so much for joining me. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, I hope to see you next time. Bye!